All right, guys. Hi, hello. Happy Friday. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the Qin Dynasty. I'm kind of working a little bit ahead of the other sections, but just a touch. We're going to get this fourth dynasty out of the way so that when we come back on Monday, we can kind of get more into depth about the other bigger dynasties overall. The other thing about the Qin Dynasty is it connects really nicely to our philosophy talk from the past few days as far as a big important kind of seeing this process overall. You'll see here on the map where the Qin Dynasty, as far as territory goes, how big it gets. So we're going to just dive right in. The Qin Dynasty is a very short-lived dynasty. There's only one ruler who will be able to proclaim themselves the ruler of this overall. Remember when we last talked about dynasties, the Zhou dynasty was in the midst of the period of warring states where civil war was kind of raging from all these different smaller territories within the larger kingdom. And the one who will rise up above the rest to become the next ruler of China is going to be Qin. And then it's sure, hooray. A word I can't say again. The original Chinese language is very tough for me to say, so that's as best as we're gonna go. I'm gonna just call him Qin. So he becomes the ruler after winning again the Civil War. Something that makes Qin. There's a lot of things that make Qin very different to the other rulers that again take over in China. Overall, first is he is going to proclaim himself not just the king, but the Emperor of China. And that will be a long-standing tradition that now all of the rulers that we speak about are going to consider themselves emperors, not just kings. Qin also is, the descriptions of him are so, again, it almost feels like fairy tales when you read the descriptions of him. He had the chest of a bird of prey, the voice of a jackal, and the heart of a tiger. He was a fierce guy, I think, is what it comes down to. So it's something to sort of keep in mind. He had to be in order to unite all of the people under his control, under his command at this moment. We're going to start right away by accomplishments because, like I said, Qin is a very different guy, and his short dynasty is odd, I suppose. One of which is, as far as accomplishments goes, is he's going to introduce a single monetary system. So currency is going to become the same for everybody, which is a huge change. He's going to build a system of roads to help keep people united as well as to control everyone a little bit better. He's going to build up walls to help protect it. We're going to see that what will one day be the modern Great Wall of China, a chunk of that is created here, but not enough for you to have associations between the Qin and the Great Wall. He's also going to expand the territory. That's what makes him an emperor as opposed to just a king like the ones before him. He's going to expand the territory south all the way down to where Vietnam is. So it's going to expand the whole space to conquer a lot more, that's for sure. He also has an interesting artistic legacy as well. So this next slide are images. These are pictures that I actually took, again, of the, again, artistic legacy, as I said, that Qin leaves behind. And these guys right here, you would probably see them without the paint on them, but they're the terracotta warriors. So Qin, like I said, interesting guy. Very concerned about his afterlife. And what we didn't know, because there was no records kept of this, is that Qin, in preparation for his death, spent most of his time as Emperor of China building a very elaborate tomb. And it's not until 1974, so thinking, again, almost 2,000 years after, more than 2,000 years after Qin ruled over China, that we find, again, some farmers in rural China find an underground pit near a burial mound of Qin. And inside of this pit are thousands upon thousands of handmade terracotta, which is clay, hardened clay. It's a whole army You've got soldiers, you've got court jesters, you've got chariots, you've got horses, you've got weapons. It is astounding. And the reason that Qin did this is because he was afraid in his afterlife that he would still be attacked or threatened by outsiders. And all of these terracotta, these clay soldiers and people were meant to help protect him and keep him company in the afterlife. Like I said, interesting guy, interesting legacy to be sure. The other big important thing to understand about the Qin dynasty, which makes it unique to a lot of the dynasties that we're going to talk about, is the fact that Qin is going to adopt legalism as the official ideology, and he actually goes so far as to burn evidence of Taoism and Confucianism while he's in charge, because we know what legalism is from yesterday or the day before, when depending on when you looked at it. That means that Qin is going to rule over China with an iron fist. There's a very highly centralized government, broken up into different branches of government. Basically, there's the civil division, which is in charge of the everyday life, the military division, and then the censorate, which is in charge of making sure that the other branches do what they're supposed to. It's a very much, like I said, a law and order approach to things. Each province had a set of laws, and then each province was broken into counties. The big thing that made Qin a lot of enemies and made him even more paranoid is that by adopting legalism, it no longer relied on the aristocracy. That was for two reasons. He didn't want to have rivals that could threaten his position. He also thought this was more fair. He took a lot of the land from the aristocracy and he gave it to the peasants. So there's this interesting sort of back and forth with people of China when they look back at Qin, if he was a good guy or a bad guy. He was very harsh in the way that he handled things. To make the terracotta army, he did require citizens to work on it day and night for months on end, and if they didn't, they'd be killed or tortured or sent away. But he also created, again, protection, and he helped to, again, make some people rise up within Chinese society. It's a very interesting moment and a brief one, to say the least. With that, that's it. That's it for notes. Again, you have your Chinese philosophy worksheet that's due by the end of the day today. Please make sure you get it submitted correctly through turnitin.com, and then keep working on your study aid. Again, now we've covered, again, just about I think there's no new ones. We took off the terracotta warriors from the actual key terms list. But the Qin dynasty will come into play for the next learning objective. So just keep that in mind. If you have questions, let me know. Shoot me an email. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great weekend.